नमो नमस्ते गुरवे महात्मने विमुक्तसंगाय सदुत्तमाय नित्याद्वयानन्दरसस्वरूपिणे भूम्ने सदा पारदयाम्बुधाम्ने नमस्ते नमस्ते विभो विश्वमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते चिदानन्दमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते तपोयोगगम्य नमस्ते नमस्ते श्रुतिज्ञानगम्य नमस्ते नमस्ते तपोयोगगम्य नमस्ते नमस्ते श्रुतिज्ञानगम्य स्वाराज्य साम्राज्य विभूतिरेषा भवत्कृपा श्रीमहिमप्रसादात् प्राप्ता मया श्रीगुरवे महात्मने नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमस्तस्मै सदैकस्मै कस्मै चिन्महसे नमः यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते Hari. Up to the 26th I said it was the social awareness, how any sadhak should behave in the society, also how a knower should behave in the society, so that the society is always kept on the auspicious track. Even a knower cannot be selfish about it, but he doesn't have to be told about it. Generally, it is his nature. He becomes a person who is sarva bhuta hite rataha. So, after that, again he is coming back to the sadhana part. Although 27th I have done, I will repeat that part. Prakrite kriyamanani gunaih karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kattahamiti manyate tattvabittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoh gunaguneshu vattanta iti matva na sajjate. Here it is guna guneshu vattanta. Actually it is vattante, but the ekara gets dropped because it is followed by e. That is according to the grammar rule. So when we split into prose and all, we will say vattante. So the ekara gets dropped because it is followed by e. He said that, this I have explained quite a few times, that prakrite kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha. Prakriti means action. Prakarshena kriyate iti prakriti. The name also has the term, prakriti has come, prakarshena kriyate iti prakriti. That which is absolutely based on action, because if there is no change, there is no activity, then there is no question of any creation. So creation means action, creation means change. That is why Prakriti is based on change. And this three guna model of Prakriti, that the whole Prakriti is made of three gunas like Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. That actually it is the interplay of the gunas. That is the model for Prakriti. I have already explained that with any of the three gunas, if it is missing, then the existence will not be perceived, will not be there. That is, unless there is action, there is no creation at all. Even the ultimate elementary particle also means some energy there, some action is there. That is Rajoguna. Unless there is a revealer consciousness, then the objective will never be known, the Prakriti will never be manifest, unless there is something to reveal whatever is there. So the revelation is the revealing power is the Sattva Guna. And Tamoguna is the inertia, that is the sthiti part of it. Sthiti means the stability part of it. It is the inertia content, is the Tamoguna. Unless anything remains for a particular time, as small as possible, but even then it has to remain for some time to be existing. I said that a particle even 10 to the power minus 20 nanosecond or whatever, it has to have a certain lifetime. Otherwise, if there is zero lifetime, there cannot be any existence. So that a certain lifetime means that is the sthiti of the particle, inertia of the particle. So that part is the tamoguna. It has to stay in its state for a certain while. Otherwise, it will not be known. So these are the three gunas. It always has to be there in the existence. And all these karma, whatever actions are taking place, huge karma, the Prakriti's karma, we cannot even imagine. What is happening in the universe, we cannot even imagine. It is beyond our imagination. All these are based on the three guna actions. Coming down to our personality activities also are based on these three gunas. When we say that somebody is gunatita, as I had discussed in the year before last, 14th chapter, first 14th chapter is the understanding the three gunas, their qualities, their results, etc. But the end part of 14th chapter was gunatita. That is what happens when a person becomes gunatita. We should remember that gunatita does not mean that the gunas will not function in him. Gunas have to function everywhere, even for a knower also gunas will function. But he will not be bound by the bondages created by the gunas. This I have discussed in great detail. Today I will again discuss that part a little from there. That he is freed of the bondage created by sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna. So when the gunas are playing in his body, mind, personality, he does not associate himself with the karma of the guna, the functioning, the phenomena, whatever is taking place, the functioning of the gunas in his body, mind, personality. He understands that he is a seer of that. He is the sakshi of whatever is happening in his personality. That person is a gunatita, not that his body, mind, personality is not having the gunas. Gunas, anything that exists, there will be the gunas. But because of his liberation from the bondages created by the guna, he gets a dimension where he finds that guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. That is the present sentence. That gunas are doing their karma, the interplay of the gunas are going on. I am not touched by anything at all. In a later chapter, in 13th chapter towards the end, last year we did, they have given the example of space. That because of the subtlety of the space, it doesn't get affected by anything happening in the universe. The space does not get, akasha, they have used the word akasha. It doesn't change. Even if there is a nuclear bomb blast, the air will be affected, but the space does not get affected. It is not touched by anything happening in the material world. Similarly, they have given the example of the sun. The sun is revealing everything. It is revealing the beautiful flower, its beauty. It is revealing the filth also, the garbage also. But by revealing the garbage, it is not getting petrified. By revealing the flower, it doesn't get beautified also. It is only, its function is to reveal. Like that, our Atma also, its function is only to, not function, but its property is to reveal. Revealer is the Atma. Whatever is revealed, it never touches him. Just as the space is not touched by anything, as the sunlight is not affected by anything that it is revealing. So when it is revealing the dukkha, we will know the dukkha. Dukkha is revealed by our Atma only. But the Atma does not get contaminated or change, affected by the dukkha. Similarly, when it is revealing the sukha, then also it is not getting affected or changed by the dukkha which it is revealing. So that is the knower state where he finds that he is just the seer of the gunas functioning in the body-mind personality. So he says that prakriti kriyamanani gunaih karmani sarvasaha. Everywhere it is the prakriti which is functioning. Purusha does not get involved in it at all. In the large context of the cosmic level also, the whole prakriti is functioning. The Purusha or Brahman does not get affected by that or change, undergo any change at all. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. It is our egotism, our ahankara, which sees that I am the karta of this guna. This kartritva and bhoktritva, particularly this kartritva, which leads to sangha, leads to possessiveness, everything comes out of it. This kartritva is the main ignorance. That is, the ahankara, the moment it comes, we get the involvement with the prakriti. Yesterday also I discussed in detail that it is the drashta and drishya mixture. Chit jada granthi, yesterday I explained. That is the granthi. We have various kinds of viveka. Viveka means discrimination in our shastras. Each discrimination, each viveka, if we follow, that will lead us to the truth. But each viveka approaches in a different manner. Like that, there is a viveka atma anatma viveka. That is, what is the atma and what is anatma. It is same as chit jada. That is, whatever is anatma is jada. Whatever is Atma is Chit. Atma is the Chit. Like that you will find in 13th chapter last year we did, it was Kshetra Kshetrajna Viveka. Kshetra and Kshetrajna Viveka. Kshetrajna is the Chit, the Purusha, and Kshetra is the entire objectude. That was the discussion we had last year. So when we come to know this discrimination, when we understand this discrimination, then we can disassociate ourselves from the functions that is taking place in the body, mind, personality or in the prakriti, that I become the observer, I am the sakshi, witness of all that. Then he says, tattvavit tu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vattanta iti matva na sajjate. Who does not get clinging, who does not cling to the gunas and their karmas? He says, tattvavit, one who has known the truth. He knows truth of what? Guna karma vibhagayoho. That is, it means two things. One is the division of the gunas. That means, what are the gunas doing? We have to understand, as we did in the 14th chapter, I will do it today also to some extent. Karma means the gunas are resulting in some actions. What are the different actions created by the predominance of which guna, etc.? The division and distinction in all those things. And finally, the division between the seer, the Atma, and the gunas functions. That is also guna karma vibhaga. That is guna karma as distinct from the Atma. The guna and their function, guna karma, as distinct from the Atma. He finds that guna guneshu vattante, that it is all an interplay of the gunas, and the whatever actions are played, that is also with the gunas. So seeing that, he never clings to anything. Now I will go to the 14th chapter. 14th chapter, not all, some we will do. 5th verse, in some books it could be fourth also. Sattvam rajas tama iti. Is it fifth in your book? I will read some of the verses you can chant just as a recapitulation, those who have done it last year also, a year before last. Sattvam rajas tama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha. Sattvam rajas tama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha. Nibadhnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. They are saying that, O Mahabaho, dehe dehinam avyayam dehinam dehe nibadhnanti. What? Sattvam, Rajaha, Tamaha. These are the three gunaha. Gunaha prakriti sambhavaha. These words have two-way meaning. Prakriti sambhavaha means which are product of the prakriti. Another is which is creating the prakriti also. There is no causality here. The three gunas, they constitute the prakriti. So whether you call they are the product of the prakriti or prakriti is a product of the three gunas, it does not matter. It is a prakriti is constituting of these three gunas. So they are prakriti sambhavaha. They are the whole prakriti. The three gunas are equivalent to the prakriti, which is the entire functioning universe, objectude, so to say. They nivadnanti, they bind us. Whom? Avyayam dehinam dehe nivadnanti. Avyayam dehinam. Avyayam dehinam means dehi who is staying in the, residing in the deha, he is unchanging. That dehi, the I in us, the Atma, that is the dehi. But he is saying avyayam dehinam, that means that Atma is unchanging. Do we feel that I is unchanging? We always feel I have become sad, I have become joyous, I is always undergoing change, we find. The change is not in the I. We are seeing the change. That seer does not change. Otherwise we would not have known. The changes in our mind, in our emotion, in our personality, in our body, those changes are seen by the I. Suppose I had undergone the change, then it would not have seen the changes taking place in the mind, emotion, etc. At least intellectually we should understand that part. But we have to actualize it. But intellectually it should be understandable. So he says avyayam dehinam. By such small words they remind us. Otherwise we will miss the actual meaning there. He is saying I, which is never changing, but that gets bound. Never changing means can it ever get bound? Bondage is a change. So that is getting bound means as if that is getting bound. That appears to be bound to us, but actually it is not bound. As if it is binding us to the deha, that is to our personality. That these three gunas, by their properties, they are binding us to the personality. Binding us means binding the I in us, which is never changing, never can have any bondage, which is always free, always liberated. It appears that I have become bound. Saying that, the next verse, he is now defining each guna, what are their properties. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanāmayam sukha sangena badnāti jnana sangena chanagha. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanāmayam. So he is defining the sattva guna as the revealer, prakashakam. Anamayam means it is absolutely pure, pristine. It has only the revealing power. It reveals. Its purpose, its function is only to reveal. That is the sattva guna. But how such a pure prakashakam nirmalatvat? It is absolutely nirmala. It is so pure, But at the same time, that also binds us. He is saying, Sukha Sangena Badnati Jnana Sangena Chanaga. Now, when Sattva Guna is binding us by Sukha Sangha and Jnana Sangha, you have to go to 18th chapter to understand what is Sattvika Sukha and what is Sattvika Jnana. Otherwise, you will make mistake. Jnana can be of all three kinds. When they are referring to the Sattva Guna binds by its Jnana and Sukha, we have to refer to the Sattvika Jnana and Sattvika Sukha. Sattvika Jnana you will find in 18 chapter 20. You should not get confused. The other day I moved chapter to chapter and people got confused. I am only trying to give clarity, not to confuse you. See, that Sattvika Jnana is defined in 18 chapter 20th verse. This I think this time also I have explained. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayamikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajnanam viddhi sattvikam. There can be various other sukha jnana also. Suppose Rajasika jnana. That is, it will tell you the divisions, various discriminations, etc. But Sattva jnana is not like that. Sattvika jnana will, when you start reveling in finding the unity in diversity, then it is the Sattvika jnana. When I was studying in school, at the end of the school, we had learned physics, chemistry, mathematics, everything, but physics always I used to think that what is this, that the same equations, the person who is teaching us heat and thermodynamics, the person who is teaching us mechanics, the person who is teaching us electricity, all are doing long equations in 12th, 11th and 12th particularly. Very long quadratic equations. But they are the same in all, whether we are studying sound or mechanics or electricity or heat or so. And they all derive the equation and finally come to a conclusion. It was always a conflict for me. That what is this happening? Why are they doing like this? The teachers will not generally explain the deeper philosophy behind that. When I got the Feynman lectures in physics and started studying that, it was like a new horizon opening. That it was, I can now say that it is like spiritual joy. Why? It was a Sattvika joy. I found that it is actually what they are doing is our way of viewing the world, that we call simple harmonic motion. Everywhere we use the equations for the simple harmonic motion, that is symmetric motion of a pendulum, like that. That is the simplest oscillation we can think of. So we are simplifying the whole world, eliminating the difficult equations, higher order equations, those who understand the mathematics. We are not utilizing the higher order terms and making it simple. We are saying that this is the. But when we go deeper into it, for example, a solid thing, when you heat it, it expands. It becomes bigger. Is it not so? Any liquid also. That expansion of the solid cannot be explained if we consider the molecules are having simple harmonic motion. See, the molecules, as we heat an object, the molecules vibrate more and more vigorous. That is the kinetic theory of heat. That means it is the actually mechanics. It is the more energy the molecules are vibrating with, it appears to be more heated. That means the temperature is more to us. Now, if it is simple harmonic motion of the molecules, then their average mean position, that does not change even when the amplitude of oscillation is more. Whether it is oscillating this much or this much, the mean position is same. That is defining the shape of the material. So the expansion by heat cannot be explained by this. To understand the expansion, we have to take the next order of equation, which is asymmetric, which will introduce the asymmetry, that when it vibrates, it will expand. So it is only our vision of the world to make it simple. Mathematics is not there in the world, it is in our brain. These equations, have you found the equations anywhere in the world? It is devised by the mathematician and we are learning. It is our brain product. So it is our view of the world, and whatever, whether we study mechanics or heat or thermodynamics or electricity or so, that our vision remains the same. We are trying to understand it is in the simplest possible form, and that is why the equations are given. So in the school also, while teaching, the teacher should have explained the mathematics first, and what does it mean, what is the meaning of a quadratic equation, simple harmonic equation and all, and then explain all the subjects that it is our vision of the world. Heat, thermodynamics, everything would have been explained by that. They should not do it separately for each subject and confuse the student that they are all different. But seldom, I don't think even now also in the schools it is done. It's not done in our schools. So it was when I found out this truth, it was just like finding unity in diversity, that I have been studying so many subjects. Today that whole horizon opened up, that it is only the mathematical, one mathematics which I am applying everywhere, and it is our product. So that is the Sattva Guna which finds out the unity in diversity, which relates everything. Suppose each person is behaving differently. To find out a sequence or a harmony in that, that is the unity in diversity.